Okay, so as
And if
a
you can lower
registered
your hand,
user,
thank you.
I want
Mm-hmm.
to I want to register with my personal email.
Thank you. So, as a registered user, I want to register with my personal words.
Details.
Thank you. I want to register with my personal details so that what? What do you want to do? If you register with your personal details, what achievement do you want to achieve with by registering with your personal details?
So that I can have access to the app.
So that I can be able or can have access to the app. Okay, this is you have successfully written a user story for this. Are we clear about this? Olumide.
All right, thank you. Good morning. My one question is, when you say personal email, you don't specify if it's Gmail, Yahoo.
No. I said personal details. I've deleted it.
Okay.
Yeah, but to answer your question, email is email. You don't need to specify it. We can't go into details with that. We just treat it the same way that we're treating anything,
Right.
Okay. So registering with personal details, good. We've done it. The next thing we want to do is is user story. Now, acceptance criteria. Before we write acceptance criteria, what is acceptance criteria? It's just like the name implies. It is used to test the acceptance of the user story, or if the user story has been successfully covered or implemented. So we use acceptance criteria to know that, okay, we're saying that as a registered user, I should be able to register with my personal details so that I can have access to the app. How do we know that you have used this acceptance criteria has been successfully implemented? We use acceptance criteria to do what? To validate if this has been successfully coded and implemented, if it's working as per what you've written. Understood, guys? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Okay, now I want to also call your attention to something. I told you last week that requirements gathering and elicitation is a continuous activities or exercise. Now, what you've written here is personal details here. Are you sure or are you clear about what personal details you want people to do? Personal details can have a lot. So you need to now speak to your owner, to the owner of the business. Hey, what do you want in your personal details? Do you want first name, last name, username, email, or you don't want people to supply their username? They just use their email registration, last name, middle name, you come. Okay, you just say, I don't want anything, just first name, last name, put your phone number, your email, and password. Okay, this is all what I need. And you, maybe you say, oh, do you want middle name? It will tell you, no, I don't need middle name. It's of no use to me. And it's not useful for me. And at the end of it, this is only these details is what your business owner is asking you to provide. Okay? It's also a good experience if you do not provide it. If you come here and you do it this way, bet me, your developer will come back to you to say, hey, personal details, can you expatiate and just be more explicit in what you want? So you don't want to kind of give room for your developer to start coming back with back and forth discussion. So I would, personal details, just write it what you want. First name, last name, phone number, email, and password. You have provided what you want them to put as what? As this, to put as details. Now, let's go back to what we're talking about, acceptance criteria. The structure for writing acceptance criteria is given that sorry. Given that, when, and then. Okay? These three, this is the structure. Let's now write our acceptance criteria. Okay? Now, okay, I forgot to. One thing that I like to include when I'm writing my acceptance criteria is scenario. Okay? You remember when we're talking about okay, this use case, we made mention of scenario, and I said scenario is a sequence of steps that describe the interaction between an actor and a system. What does that mean? For instance, if you want to register, what is the scenario? What scenario can you register with? The first scenario, let's say scenario one, scenarios are what is likely to happen. Okay, meaning we can say successful registration. When you put in all these details, what happens? You should be able to register successfully. That's scenario one. We can also have scenario two. What's scenario two? Anyone? What's another scenario that we can have? Unsuccessful registration. Okay, that's one. So for scenario one, let's write, you can see I told you that one user story can have multiple acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria one is this. Acceptance scenario is acceptance criteria two. Okay. Now, let's use that structure. Given that, so given that what? I am a registered user. Who are you? Given that I am a registered user, when when you now write that, okay, you are a registered user. What do you want to do here? I want a registered user. What do you do? When I enter my personal details, when I enter my personal details correctly, because what is it? For you to be to successfully register, it means that all these personal details must be supplied. Hence, correctly. Meaning, if you did not provide your first name, what should happen? Then this system will not accept it as successful. When I enter my personal details correctly, or I provide all the required personal details, okay, what should happen? Then you are a registered user here. You provide all these things, all these personal details, they are correct. Also, when you provide them, okay, when you provide them, instead of you provide all these 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3 details, this, then what should happen? Then the system should allow me to register successfully. So you've written acceptance criteria for this. If we now want to write for this scenario 2, what? Given that the same thing that I'm a registered user, because we're testing for unsuccessful registration now, that okay, if you do not provide first name, the system should do what? Should not allow you to register because first name is missing. Okay, given that I'm a registered user, when I did not provide the required personal detail, what should happen? Then the system should display an error message that should display an error message. And that is why you see that in most cases, maybe first name is required. If you skip first name and you go ahead and press register, what will happen? That first name will be what? Will be highlighted in red and an error message will display. This is what they have used to provide that. Any questions? I know this is getting technical, but don't worry yourself. 2 things I want you to know: master the structure of how to write it, given, when, then. Similarly, master how to write user stories. By the time you get to the project where you write 3, 4, 5, this will become much easier for you. You know, I am not training you guys to become an expert in a month, but I'm just training you to understand the basic concept. And as you write this, by the time we finish the project, you'll see that it's very, very easy because you have the opportunity to write this when you are doing your project. And that is the essence of the live project where you will write it. It's not me just telling you. I just provide the background mentorship guidance. You have the opportunity to write everything. So any question, and that is what you will see. You will do for everything. We've only done this for this. You go ahead, write user story for this, and acceptance criteria for this. We can even go ahead and write scenario 3. You just need to think of, okay, what possibility, what can happen by registering? When you are registering and you get to the first name, because what we've just done here is this: I did not provide the required, meaning first name is a must, and I didn't provide it. That is, you should display a message. What about phone number? Phone number is meant to be what? Only alphabet. If I go to phone number, instead of providing only number, and I now write email there, what should happen to that? I need someone to answer me with that.
Registration will be declined.
Incorrect.
It will be declined. As a matter of fact, an error message will display because you've not met validation rules there. The validation rule is just that it's a phone number. You can only input numbers. But in this case, you are putting letter. It should be declined, and it should be declined. We'll try. And an error message lets you. So you write that for that as well. Okay? Incorrect phone number entered. So what is it? Given that I am a registered user, when I am on the phone number field and I entered words, text, let's say text, or phone number, or more than 11 digits, what should happen? Then the system should display an error message saying a wrong phone number was entered or has been entered. What of it? Okay. So when you do this, what is this telling you? Your developer will come here to say, okay, I want users to be able to register using their first name. They will use this successful. Okay, for this registration to be successful, I must make sure that number 1, you are a registered user. Number 2, then when I enter my personal details, which is all this, it knows that it must provide a field for first name, last name, phone number, and email and password. Okay, and there's also another thing. Maybe you want to say password and what? Re-enter password. Okay? It means about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will provide those fields. Then the system should allow me, when all these fields are provided, when I'm registering, then I should be able to enter and, successfully. Otherwise, if I did not provide any of these, what should happen? The system should notify me that this display an error message. Then scenario 3, incorrect phone number. In the phone number there, maybe I just put in, instead of phone number, I put in email. An error message should display. The same things, let's say scenario 4. Scenario 4, password not matching. Okay, given that I am a registered user, when I enter password that does not match password in the re-enter password field that do not match the password entered in the password field, what should happen? Then the system should display an error message that the two password do not match. Okay, meaning when I think I'm just going to do this. Sorry, I want to. For instance, we want to, this is the registration we're talking about here. So, meaning I put in this, the password I put here, okay? And this one. If they do not match, we're saying that this password there and this one do not match. There should be an error message. So that's this acceptance criteria is the one to kind of undo what I've just showed you here. Similar things, maybe you want to write that for an email, if you are saying that if this email field, instead of writing this email, this one, an arrow, this is what I write. .com. Do you think the system should accept this? Should the system accept this?
Oh,
No.
that's not an email format.
No, please. No.
It is not an email format. However, a developer will not know for them not to do this until you go ahead and provide an acceptance criteria for that. So, and how do? You come here, scenario 5, incorrect email format. Given that I am a registered user, okay, when I enter an incorrect email format in the email field, what should happen? Then the system should display an error message saying that the correct email should be provided. Okay, provided. Okay, so when you do this, the developer knows that he must write his code that when a correct email format is not provided here, there will be an error message. Are we clear about how to write user stories and acceptance criteria? Writing an acceptance criteria, for this, you must look at all possible scenarios. What can happen here that can make this to be successful, that can make this not to be successful, and write an acceptance criteria for this. Because this is what your developer will write, will use to do the coding so that you can have a useful application. Olumide.
All right. I was thinking that we can also add the scenario of the password strength.
Absolutely. So password strength, you can add it, given that I'm a registered user, when I provide my password and do not match, or this strength, maybe 10, maximum of 10 characters, minimum of 8 characters must meet, all those things. You write all those requirements. When you do not miss all those things, then an error message should display. But when it meets all those things, what happened? The password should be taken and the system should allow you to continue. You write it. All scenarios that you think about, write it using this structure. Again, when we start working on the real life project, you will have the ability, you'll be able to write all these things. I'll be there to correct, to guide you. By the time you write 4, 5, you become a master and it will become second nature. Any question, guys? All right. Now, I made mention that ideally for training purpose, I always encourage my students to use this. As a matter of fact, if I take you through one they've done, this is what they have done. The previous students, what they've done, you can see epic user stories. This is the acceptance criteria that they've written. So you also do the same thing. Excuse me. You can see what they've done. Students, previous students did this, and that's what you also be doing. However, in a real life world, if you're working, we don't write acceptance criteria. We don't write it on Excel like this. Where do we write it? Though it's not part of the scope of this project, but I'm just going to show you. We write it using Jira. Jira is a software we use for project management and development sake, okay? And you come here to write it. We will also, when we go to the live project, we'll have a section where we'll take you through the end-to-end usage of how you can use Jira and how you can come here and write. As you can see, all what we've written here is just what they have here. So it's just for as a starter, you will be using this, but as you get like 2-3 weeks into the industries, and after about 3 or 4 weeks you've gone through this training, I will start introducing you to use. As you can see, this is your user stories. This is the acceptance criteria. You can see. So you just write it. And how do we create it? I'll just give you an example. Okay. Let's say we want to do one. See what type we're doing story. If it is epic you want to write, okay, right, put it as your epic. Okay, what epic do you want to which one just done? What epic? Personal details. So let's just do personal details epic. Okay, personal details registration. Okay, let's just put it in with personal details. Okay, the description that we've written here, user must be able to, that's what you just put here. Okay, that's it. Now, this, who are you assigning to? I'm assigning it to myself. All these things, if there's a Teams, you choose a Teams, all these things will be configured by your administrator. It's not you that you need to do anything there. If you want to give a color, just give any color that you think that's the color we've decided, and you create. Okay. Now, remember, even here, an epic is linked to these user stories. This user story is linked to this acceptance criteria. Same thing we have to do. Now we've created an epic. We'll now go there to create a user stories. So come here, change it to story. What is the story that we've just done here? It is register as a register user, copy, like I said, personal register as a with personal details. Thank you. So we're copying it. You can see as a registered user, I want to be able to do this so that I can have access to the tribe. Who are you assigning it to? Now, this concept of assigning, I don't want to, we'll go there tomorrow. You assign it like this. If it's as the parent here is what epic are you linking this to? So if you click on it, it will show all the parents. You can see the epic that we've just created. You click on it. If you have a team, all the teams that your administrator have created, we don't have any team now. So just created and see this. So this is what we've just created. If you click on it here, this is the register with personal details that we've clicked it. So if you've done it like this, the person that you assign it to, let's say Kabir is your developer, you've assigned it to your developer. If your developer wants to work on this, what does your developer do? Your developer will just come here. Okay, as a registered user, this is all what your developer needs to do what? To work on this. Then you've only done user story. You now go and put in your acceptance criteria that you've written here. Again, if I'm writing it, I don't need to come and write everything here. What do? I write everything on all the acceptance criteria that you've written. I'm copying it. Come here. Pasting. So you see everything. You can just give it a very good. So if I want to do Just give it some very good touches. Okay, do this scenario 2 again. I don't have time. I'm just after this. Just give it, make it look appealing. You know, one of the things you have to learn to do is to make your job look appealing and professional. So you do the same thing. Okay, you can bold it if you want to. Bold it. Okay, the same thing you do it for everything. And once you've done that, you click save. You have to click save here, otherwise it will not save. So successfully, Kabir, who is your developer, comes here and see, okay, he will analyze it. This is what you've done your job here. Your job is just that when it's completed, when Kabir finish writing his code, using this to write his code, he will bring it back to say, hey, I've successfully finished this. Okay, hand it to someone else, maybe unassigned. Samuel is the software tester. You will add it to Samuel here. Samuel will see it. He will do these things also to do the testing to make sure that all these scenarios are actually tested. That okay, when incorrect phone number is corrected, which is more than 11 digits, does the system display an error message? If it displays an error message, what does that mean? This acceptance criteria is accepted, is passed. If more than 13 digits is entered into the phone number field and an error message is not displayed, what does that say? That means that acceptance criteria scenario 5 or 3, as the case may be, is failed. And when it's failed, what do? You don't accept it. Hey guys, I told you that when more than 11 digits is provided, an error message should display because that should not allow to happen. And you've developed an application that I put in 13 digits and it accepts it. That's a fail. They'll go back and fix that until it meets your requirements. Any questions, guys? And that is how you go about it. All the applications, this is what we use to develop all the applications. Any questions? Deborah.
Okay. So after, I want to ask a question. After the developer has looked at the criteria and done what he wants to do and assign it to the tester, will he have to comment? Because I see something, add comment to
Absolutely. So
yeah.
thank you. Sorry. Is there any other things you want to say? Sorry. Or is it the comment?
Just want
So
to confirm
the comment here is
that,
this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe the developer, Kabir, who is the developer, now see that, oh, you've just written something here, then the system should display an error message that two passwords do not match. Okay. Or maybe it just says display an error message. This is what you've written here. This is, you don't be specific of the content of the error message. Okay, here, what happens? Kabir will come here and develop, or if anything, you just say, hey, okay, if you type in all the names in your project teams, okay, we'll display here. Let's say this is Yemisi, who's the business analyst. Oh, in scenario 4, can you provide the exact display message when that the system, I don't know why, oh, I don't know. I think I'm getting tired now. That the system should display when that scenario is not met. Okay, save it. Yemisi, who is the business analyst here, or Kabir here, will immediately see this in my email. And I can come here. Oh, thank you. Just come here. Go back. Yemisi come out and say, hey, thanks, Kabir, for that. Thanks, Yemisi, as the case may be. You know, again, if you put in this art, you see all everything. Let's say this is Yemisi. Thanks, Yemisi. The correct and exact message to display is the correct please provide correct phone number. Okay, just this is it. You've just did this and you save again. Yemisi who send this will also receive this, and that's what you do. So you use these comments for communication between two of you or anyone within the team. Again, this please provide correct phone number. If you know it, if you've spoken to the business owner, it's better you go to, hey, when this thing is not met, what is the correct message you want to display? Don't just assume. Let the business owner give you that exactly. And that's part of your requirements elicitations. Any questions?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we have successfully talked about this. One thing I would like to mention here, let's spend the next 30 minutes to talk about process mapping. Okay. I think I said it that as a business analyst, you know, business analysis or as a BA, you only need to master about five or six things, and you're good to go. You can. Some of us who are in the industry earning 6 figures or so, we don't even know more than this. As long as you can do your requirement elicitation perfectly, you can ask the right questions, you know how to do scenarios and use case. In fact, you can do perfect gap analysis. You can write high-level requirements. You can write user stories and acceptance criteria. You can do this process mapping. Those 5 things, you are good to go as a business analyst. There is nothing required more. Any other things you need to know or as a business analyst, apart from those 5 things, they are just added advantage to you. In fact, we have a role that the only thing you need to do is just to do this process mapping. So if what you can take out of this section is ability to do process mapping, write user story and acceptance criteria, call yourself a business analyst. This is one beauty that we come with as a business analyst. You don't need to know too many things. You only need to know the basic things. So what is process mapping? A process mapping is what? Is a visual representation of flows or processes that users goes through to perform a function or series of functions. Okay. Now, tools used for process mapping, or we can call it process mapping or process flow. It's the same thing, anything. What tools do we use? We have multiple tools. The most widely used is what? Visio, Balsamiq. We have Mura, Miro. We also have Mura, Miro, Draw.io. So Balsamiq, these things are paid, very expensive. But recently I've seen people using these three more. For this, we will give you access to this, and group access for this. But if you, when we are in the project, you are right, doing a project, you have access to Mura and Miro. They do the same thing. Now, do you need to be able to use all of them? The good thing is, if you know how to use one, you can use others. I can't remember the last time I worked on Visio. I've been using Mura and Miro, and which will give you access to this. Draw.io has the same thing as Visio. It's free. So you can, if you are practicing on your own, just go and do Draw.io. You can use it. So that's about process mapping. Now, let's, for instance, okay, let's say what you've done here is user ability. You want to map or process map user ability to register with their personal details. Okay, what is the scenario? Okay, scenario here is what? Register user ability to Epic, or you say Epic. Register user ability to register with their personal details. This is what, now let's go through it. What flows, what processes, steps. Step 1, to register. Can anyone mention what step would a user go through? What is the step 1?
Probably click on.
Click. Yeah, thank you, B. On registration or register. When you click on register, what is step 2? You click on it. What is the next step you do? When you click on it?
Directed to names and all that. We have to fill in the names.
Thank you. Like, yeah, fill in personal details. What is step 3?
Click submit. Click submit.
Probably confirming personal details or something like that. Not sure.
Yeah, so confirming, click submit. Okay, let's take it. When you fill in your personal details, this requirement where we've mentioned that if any of these validations, instead of you did not provide first name, last name, what do we say? Then you should do an error message should take. So we need to be able to validate all those validations. So in that case, the third thing is, okay, validate all personal details requirements. Okay, now step 4. What happened in step 4? Click submit. Okay, step 5. What happened when you click submit?
Save. Before we save,
Success.
we want to make sure that
response with success.
Yes. So we click save. Maybe we want to make sure, okay, yeah, we click save. When we click save, what then receive successful message that you've successfully registered. Are we clear about this flow? This is for you to register. These are the 5 steps that you should go through as a user. Are we clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. Now, when you go to the owner of your business and you want to say, hey, for users, I want to make sure that for them to do this, these are the flows or the processes that they will go through. You know, these steps, it's not ideal. It's not. Instead of you writing text like this, we use process flow or process mapping, as the case may be, to do what? To validate this, to show this flow. And there are, like I mentioned, there are multiple tools at which you can use. Okay. One of these tools is this, Mural. We will give you access to this Mural. You can practice it. Okay. This is what some other classes or this is what they've done. Okay. This is all what they've done. You can see many people have done. So let's now go through. We want to do process mapping for this. Now, before I take you, there are things you need to know about this. The symbol of process mapping, because you need to know this symbol. This one, if this is oval, I want to believe so, not really good with shape. This one signifies we use this to start any process. We also use it to do what? To end any process. This rectangle is what we use to signify or to indicate any process, any flow. This flow that we spoke about. Click registration or this one. We use the rectangle, this rectangle. The connector here, the flow direction here is this one. You can see when you start, you send a code. This one we do that we use to connote or to link one flow to another. This is what we use. Then the last one here is decisions. As you can see, acceptance. Now, what is the decision here? When there are 2 or more things that can happen, we use a decision. For instance, here, when you fill in personal details, your personal details, what happens? What options? What are the 2 scenarios that can happen there when you fill in your personal details? Okay, personal details, number 1, the first one is personal details can or meet all validation requirements, or the second scenario or possibility is does not meet validation, does not meet any or all validation requirements. Okay, meaning if you fail to provide personal name, first name, you only provide last name, meaning it does not meet it. Or when you are writing your email, instead of writing text, you put in phone number there. That means that validation has not been met. Or when you write password, the second password does not match. That personal details here has not been matched. It should be here. And Because there are two things that can happen here, we use this, we call it decision tree is what we call it. Octagon or whatsoever, I don't know the angle. We use this, okay? So that is it. This one, documents, don't worry about it for now. It's advanced. When you are doing more data, I can't remember last time I've used it, and don't even focus on it now because it's an advanced. So let's now go ahead and practicalize it, okay? The first one, if you want to use this, look at this. Now, these tools can be used, you can use these tools for many things, okay? It's one of my go-to tools. You can use it for gap analysis. You can use it for many things, I repeat. And if you want to, click on the template there. You know, you can search anything you want to search, you can have it there. By the time we start working on our project, you can use it for even the persona. Come here, if you tap on it, persona, okay? You see, you will see anything profile. You can use it when you are doing it. You use this for persona or anything. So it's a very good tool. Now, if you want to use, there's a sticky note. Maybe you just want to write anything. Hello, you use sticky notes. You can use this for anything you want to do. It's also a good experience. But for process mapping, we use this. Come to shape here. Now, I like to also come here with you, write your text, and add to this, register. You can say, okay, registration flow. That's what we want to do. When you click on it, now you can move it anywhere. Just click on it like this, move it. If you want to move it anywhere you want to move it there. Come to this, you see, the shapes and connector. If you click on these shapes and connector, you can see all the shapes that we've mentioned are here. Like I said, we are only using handful. This, and this. These are the ones we'll be using. So let's start. To start, you can use this. It's a terminator, but you can also use it to start. So bring it here, put at start. Okay? How do you write something? Just click into between. You can write anything you want to write. Again, come here. What is the flow? We mentioned here is that this. Click register, registration or register. So go there, and we're using rectangle, which is, you can see it's a process. Click on it. You can see, just drag it as much as you want, anyhow you want to drag it. Okay? Make sure you align it. You can, if it's aligned, a line will just draw to let you know that it's properly aligned. Okay? Now, what is the process that we're talking about here? Click register or registration button. Okay? Click it. Now, you want to connect these two. And I told you, if you want to connect, just come here. If you click, hover on it like this, it shows this rectangle. Click on it. Look at it. You can connect it. This circle here. If you click on it here, draw this circle to this. It's connected. The same way, if you want to connect it like this, if you want to, all what you just do, but we're not doing that. All what you need to do is, if you click on this, you can connect from here, connect from here, connect from here, or connect from here. It will show those three angles. So we've connected it here. What is the second flow? Then once you do this, fill in your personal details. You can come here and bring in your process, but I just like to duplicate. If you want to duplicate, click on this like this. It will show like this. Then just go to your system or your distance and just Control D. It will duplicate. So it's already duplicated. It's already duplicated. Now, what is the third flow here? Once you click on this, what do you do? What is the third flow? Let me see if you are all following.
Validate personal details.
Right personal details.
Thank you. Fill in your personal details. You fill in your personal details. Again, you connect it. Fill in your personal details. Now, once you fill in your personal details, what's the next? What do you need to do next?
Validation.
Now,
Validate.
I say again. Yeah.
Validate.
Validate. Thank you. In doing that, how do you validate? I told you because there are two scenarios. When you fill in your personal details, then you want to do what? You want to click because you fill in your personal details. Then click submit. Click submit to submit the registration or to register. What have you? Okay, you click it. Then, if for instance, this is what we're trying to do here, and what we've done here, this is maybe this one, this Tech Pro, it does not meet these requirements because it's what? Okay, let's say this, and these are not matched. Meaning, if I click register like this, you see, please include this in the email. Technical is missing this. That was when this application was built. This was what the business analyst that wrote this, the message, the display message that was provided to the developer to display. You can display or provide your own, whatever, anything you need, you can do. So you can see that because this does not meet the validations, this display message is not displaying and you cannot register. So that is 1 minute validation is not met. Let's now assume that everything, if this techpro at gmail.com, okay, and the password, okay, everything is met, meaning the second thing is because all these things, all these validations are met, if I click on this, okay, the system should allow me to register. See, it has successfully registered. So there are 2 scenarios there. When validation, any of the validation is not met, what should happen? Not register. When all the validations are met, then you should be able to register. So to illustrate that, what do? We use what we call decision tree. This to illustrate that. And how do we illustrate it? Okay, you can do it here, but I just like to make it. I don't like it to. Okay, validation met. Now, one thing to know is when you use this, anything you want to do, make it as short as possible, and it must always come with a question mark. So validation met, or let's just say all personal details validations are met. Okay, this means all personal details validation that you've listed in these scenarios. When you are writing your acceptance criteria for that, how did you say everything's are met? If any, maybe one is not met, what that means that criteria is not met. So this can increase it. Okay, meaning the moment you click submit like this, okay, if personal details are not met, okay, if it's a no, meaning personal details are not met. Again, what do I do? I want a process I can just duplicate. You can come up with a new one. I just like to duplicate anyway. So, meaning, if all personal distance are personal details validation are met. Now, I want you to think, if all personal details are met, what should happen? If it's a yes, meaning personal details are met, you are logging in, you register here as we've done, and all details are met. What should happen? When you click on this register, all these validation are met. What should happen?
You'll be able to access the app, like log in straight and
You
Success
should,
response.
that means you should be
successful.
able to register. Yes, she was successful. Thank you. That's the word I was waiting for. So means if all personal validations are met, what should happen? Then you should be able to so one thing we always do when our personal details validation met, there are two things. Is either it's met, if it's met, meaning that's a yes. If it's a yes, which is all personal detail validation are met. If it's a yes, you now write yes here. Okay, what do? Click on this arrow, double click, it will allow you to write. So yes, meaning if all personal validations are met, if it's a yes, what should you do? You know, register successfully. Okay, if it's a no, meaning personal details it's a no, meaning personal detail validation are not met. Maybe you fail to provide first name, or in the email field, you provide phone number instead. Any of those validations are not met. What should happen? So you come here. If it's not met, meaning this is yes, this is our personal validation are not met. If it's a no, what should happen if this personal validation are not met? What should happen? Display an error message. Yes, Deborah.
You know, we can add that if user already registered to read.
Thank you. So means if that email, this email here is registered, what should happen? Then that should also display. But the scenario here is that we're registering as a new one. So we're assuming that that person has not registered. So if you want to do for an already registered this thing, okay, you could do the same thing. I'll try that now and let you know. So in this case, display an error message to say that these validations are not met. And once you display an error message, what happens? When an error message is displayed, go back and fix that message. You can start the registration again. And that's it. And if that is the case, if you register successfully, that's the end. Control D. end. So you have successfully, that means, so instead of you going to the owner and provide this, the industry standard is you use this. Oh, I want to show you the process that user will go through when they are registering. Okay, user will start, they provide their registration details. If you want to make it look nice, okay, you can come here. I'm going to say, okay, here, what, just to demonstrate what the details are: first name, last name, email, phone number, password, re-enter password. Okay, so this, you just say this, so that when, instead of you are expecting, because user, when you say register, click on register button and fill in this thing, instead of the owner to ask you what are those personal details, you have to be on top of your game. Provide this, so first name, last name, email, and maybe, hey, these are things I don't need phone number for any reason. Okay, you just remove it. Okay, in that case, if this is it, fill in your personal details. When you fill it, you click registration, submit. If any of the validations are not met, then an error message will display. If it's met, you register successfully. Because here, the phone number, when you've done this, oh, the owner say, oh, that's exactly what I want, except that I don't want the phone number. And you, ideally, before you go ahead and write the acceptance criteria or the user stories and acceptance criteria that we've written here, okay, the industry standard is that you should have done this process mapping, because this is what you will use to go to the owner to validate if this is the correct process or correct flow. Let's now assume that it now comes when you now present this to the owner now say, yes, when they click submit, instead of them to do this, I want users to be able to validate their email, to know that the email they are provided, this email they are provided is the correct email. So okay, you don't need to do it while you are presenting, just take note of it, and maybe after you go ahead, then just add to it. When you click submit, what is it? Receive email link to validate email. When you receive this, you link it. When you receive the link, what happens? Duplicate. You go to your link. Okay. Click on the link. Again, when you click on that link, if the link is validated, so okay, I think we've missed the flow here. We've missed a flow. So we miss a flow here. It should be like this. When you click on submit to register, then you should get this. When the validation is met, okay, validation before you are successfully registered, then you have to come here. Validation met. If it's a yes, then you receive email. When you receive your email, you go in, click on that email. Click on the email, and when you click on the email, then let's now assume that you click on that email. Now, here, you now go back, you click on the email, you do this, register. When you click on that email, then you register successfully. That is it. But if this is not validated, if personal detail is wrong, then you display an error message and that's it. You have to go back to fix that. Now, you have fixed this based on the feedback when you presented it to say, hey, I want people to be able to receive, to validate their email. You go back again after fixing it, you go back to the owner to say, hey, I fixed the email validations. Does this look good? And the owner also comes in, okay, when you click on the link, are you looking at possibility? If the link is valid, maybe only for 30 minutes, and the moment you receive this, when you receive this, it's meant to valid for 30 minutes, but you leave it and you only come back to go and click that link after about an hour. What should happen? The validation is that this link that you've received, you must click on it for within 30 minutes. But after 30 minutes, you do not click. You only click after 1 hour. What possibility should happen there? How do we cater for that kind of scenario? What are we using?
It should show that the link has expired.
Yes, it should show that the link has expired. But which of these flow angles are we going to use to represent?
The diamond.
This one.
Yes.
Thank you. Meanings decision tree. So we come here now to say, because link receive email link. Oh, sorry. Click on the link. Now, when you click on this link, is the link valid? And I told you, every time you are writing, it has to be with a question mark. Link is valid. Okay. And again, because I want to make the life of my business owner, link can only be valid when click within 30 minutes. Okay. So you are saying that have you clicked on this within 30 minutes? This. Now, if it's a yes, what should happen? If it's a yes, what should happen? That this link is valid. You've clicked this link within 30 minutes. What should happen?
Link confirmation, details confirmation.
Yes, when you click within, you should be registered. You should be able to register successfully. When you click on that link, you should be able to register successfully. Okay. Register successfully and maybe display successful registration message. Okay. And maybe the requirement is when you do this, you should also receive onboarding email. Receive successful email. Okay, to say you've successfully registered. That's it. So when the link is valid, what are we doing for you? Is this yes or no? Is link is valid if it's a what?
Yes.
If it's a yes, so I said to write that, click on it like this, input yes to show that, okay, if link is valid, if it's a yes, register successfully and display this. If it's a no, that the link is not valid, what should happen? The link is not valid because you only click on that link an hour later. What should happen? Think about it as a user. We've done this so many times where you register and the link is not successful. Maybe it has expired. What should happen?
To take you back to re-register,
Yes.
to re-verify.
To verify or to re-register because that link is not as expired. So to do that, what? Display and error message saying link has expired. Is it? So means if it's a no, that link is not valid. If it's a no, because the link is not valid, you should display this. And when this is displayed, then it should take you back to, fill in your details. Go back here and start the process again. Are we clear?
Hello, sir.
Sir.
So,
Yeah.
Please, there are some situations whereby maybe there is just one item that you miss. Maybe there is a mandatory option on the form you filled that's during the registration process that is omitted. And at the time you're clicking submit, it takes you back to just that particular option that you missed for you to complete it and click option again. In that scenario, what do you do? So it's not like you're coming back to start all over again to fill the login form, to fill the whole details back. But you're just going back to fill that omitted option that is mandatory.
So this is what you're saying here. In this case, we've only omitted, the issue here is that the Tech Pro Institute email is not correct. And this has been displayed. So you just go there and submit. So if that is what you're looking, then it is not, the flow here is, we're talking about the link here. So if that is, for that, this is where, here, our personal details validated and met. If it's a no, display an error message. Okay, when you display an error message, after displaying error message here, an error message has been done, what do? Then go ahead and correct it. Okay, you just come here, display error message, and when you go ahead and correct the message, the issues you have. Correct the identified error. So this from there. You correct the when you correct, and when you correct this, what happens? Then it allows you to do what? It take you back to this. It doesn't. You'll be able to send. When you correct it, you click submit, because here I've corrected this, and I'll be able to submit. Have you seen it? So it's about you thinking about possibility, flows. An error message is displayed, and you are saying when you see that error message, correct it immediately. Go back, correct it, and once you correct it, you've corrected it here, you still have to go back and click register. So means you click register here, and if you click register, for instance, I've clicked register for this, but however, there are other error message again because I've not provided password. So it's taking me back to this. A personal, I've clicked submit, it takes me back again. A personal details validated and met. It means no, this one is not validated. You go back there, display an error message, correct the identified error, which is this. Okay, I've now corrected it. I'm going ahead to correct it. Okay, I click it. Again, click this register, which is the same thing. You've corrected it. You go ahead and click register. When you click register, you go back here, circle. A personal detail validation met. Again, it's not met because I've not provided this. Okay, again, I now provide it here. Now, which is, I've gone ahead, it's not met, a display message, error message display, correct the identification error. Once I correct it, I click what? I click registration. I click registration. Because I've corrected all Lawrence now, the registration works. It allows me to register. Meaning, a personal detail validation met. It is a yes. Then I now move to receive email link in my email. Any questions? And once I receive the link, I click on the link from my email. Is that link validated? If it is valid because I've clicked it within 30 minutes of this requirement, then I should get this. But because, hey, I've only clicked it, it's not validated because I've clicked it more than after 30 minutes, display message will come. And when it display my message, what do I have to happen? Because it's in my email, I can't do anything. That is, I have to go back and create and click the register, and I'll start the process again. So when you do this, this is what we've done. Now, in addition, you now go here. You will use, this is what you will use to write your acceptance criteria, user stories, and acceptance criteria. And you put everything is done. In addition to this, you've written it. We like to kind of add this. So okay, you go ahead. Screen grab this, copy it. When you copy it, come here, what you've written here, this thing that you've written, okay, you can attach, link issue, you can add an attachment, add a charge, you can do all of this. Okay, I like to link this. What is it? If you have a URL or anything, so otherwise, you can just come here, add an attachment. This is the attachment. If you have something to attach, come here and attach. But in this case, I don't have anything. I just want to, what I've screenshot here. I just need to come here, provide, just This is what he provided. So as part of this, when Kabir, who's your Scrum, your developer comes, in addition to the user stories and acceptance criteria you've run, Kabir will also look at this to kind of understand the flows, and he will use this flow to do his coding. Any questions? Apologies, we've gone almost 20 minutes. So this is how you write your user stories, acceptance criteria, as well as your process mapping or process flow, as the case may be. Any question for today? Guys, I know too many things to process. The recording we'll share the recording. Take your time to go through it, practicalize things. Hopefully you join the next class where we'll start working on real life projects. You will have access to all these tools. You'll be able to work and practicalize. By the time you work on it, you do things, you do it, you will understand it better. And that's why I always say that it's not only about coming to training, listening to what I say. It's about you practicalizing, using most of these tools so that you understand how to use them. Practice the same makes perfect. So I'm not expecting you within the next, I've just taught you for less than 3 or 4, 6 hours, you're not going to be an expert. But by the time you work on a real life project where you see how it works, some students work on all these things. What we've just done is this. This is it. The registration is what we've done. Similar thing, we do the same thing to do the login. The same logic is what we do, everything that we've done in the registration, writing user stories, acceptance criteria, coming up to come up with process maps. Okay, you want to log in, enter your email. Is the email valid or correct? If it's not correct, display error message. If it's correct, this password correct, error message. And when you do, sign in. The same thing you do, forget password and all of this. This is how we go about any applications. Tell me, we use the same flow, the same structure to write it. Your own as a business analyst, if you are able to do this, what we've done here, complete, you don't have any issues. Your own is just to make sure that you provided this, sit down to ensure that they do their coding like this. They do the coding and everything, what they have to do like this, and you make sure that it works as per what you have provided. If it does not work as per what you provided, you have the liberty, you have the task of saying, hey, this is not working, this is not what I wanted, go and correct it. That is why you're being paid as a business analyst, because you are there, you are to ensure that you get the right requirements from the owner, you provide that requirement in a language understood by your developers. Your developer use that to work, do their coding, and they make something happen like this. And that must be within what you have provided for you. And that is your role as a business analyst. Any questions? We've fast spent our time. If there is no question, I would like to call it a day. Tomorrow, for those of you, because we've combined Scrum Master with this training. So tomorrow we'll go through Scrum Master. We'll do what we call project methodologies, which is Agile and Scrum. So we'll spend time to do Agile, and I will try and do that. We can spend the next 30 minutes before we round up the section to just go through a scenario. Let's think about, start thinking as a business analyst, okay? We'll spend the next 30 minutes tomorrow or the last 30 minutes tomorrow to think about it. All right, Samuel, I'll take you first.
Okay, so well done, sir. Thank you very much. I noticed that on the flow we didn't put the end logo on the flow.
Okay. Yeah, so just put it, but it's not something, it's not a showstopper. Let's put it. And to say, okay, once you successfully this, you hand it.
Yeah, it was there before. I think it was
Okay.
when you were editing the extra things you added. That was when you.
Yeah. Sure. Olumide, you have another thing to add?
Okay, thanks so much. Appreciate. Then for the Jira access, can anyone have the access via Gmail, or you have to have a company portal before you have that?
It has to be company email. So when you join a company, they'll provide you a login, company listings, and that is the email that they will use to give you access. And there are different access roles. An admin will have access to everything, and you that you're not admin, they'll configure what you can do. Okay. So, but that's not for you to worry about.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, in absence of none, thanks once again. I want to please appreciate you all. I'll try and just put in this recorded section, hopefully tonight. If you can just take time to study it, don't panic, don't overwork yourself. It will be strange that just understand the basic concepts, little things. And as you work on, more about it, you read about it, you have a life project you work on, you practicalize some of these things, you understand it better, and it will become second nature. So go ahead and do it that way. And tomorrow, please let us be there on time. We have a lot to cover. As you can see, we'll talk about Agile, Scrum, artifacts, and this. And I want to make sure that we spend at least 30 minutes to kind of do a lot of some practical and, let us see how we can start thinking as a business analyst. And 30 minutes, we need 30 minutes to do that. All right. Thanks once again, and thanks for making the section interactive. I'm sure, and I hope we'll do the same thing tomorrow again.
Thank you, sir.
So just to start, we're starting tomorrow, 4 p.m. Australian time, 7 a.m. Nigerian time. Hopefully, that'll be enough for those that will have to go to church. At least they can spend the first an hour or so. Otherwise, if they can do later, 10 a.m. church service or something. Anyway, 7 a.m. we start tomorrow. I think we've been able to accommodate just to make sure that people are not missing out. Thanks, and we'll meet again tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Raphael.
Thanks, sir.